Boris Johnson prepares to walk away from the Brexit trade talks, the European Union become desperate, and we talk about our new free speech project. Well, we only have days left to actually officially and formally start the Brexit trade negotiations. We have obviously until December 2020 as the main deadline to finalise this, otherwise we'll be out on WTO terms. So in this video we're going to talk about the new positions that we have from the UK government and the reaction from the EU. But before we start, I need to say huge apologies for yesterday. I had a last minute personal issue I had to deal with. That's why there was a lack of video. But we're going to make it up to you today. And in the next couple of days, we also have more details about our new free speech project. So make sure to watch to the end of the video to find out more about that. But Boris Johnson and his team are becoming slightly impatient with the European Union because obviously since we left the EU, it was weeks ago, the European Union, and specifically Michel Barnier, been coming up with weird demands, basically up to a point where if we say yes, then we'll essentially be a member of the EU without having any say around the table. But Boris Johnson has now officially come out and said not only he's rejecting those demands, but he's willing to actually walk away. The UK are now prepared to walk away in June if there's not enough progress when it comes to the trade negotiations. It's going to be quite interesting. They've given a June deadline to walk away. The British government has obviously sorted out their side of the deal in terms of the position, and they have also clarified that they are going to be ready for a no deal scenario. In a document published on Thursday morning, it said that means we will not agree to any obligations for our laws to be aligned with the EU's or the EU's institutions, including the European Court of Justice, to have any jurisdictions in the UK. Obviously, they have said that there is plenty of time to find an agreement with the EU by June. Brussels have demanded the UK to continue to allow the European Union fishing fleets access to British water, and Michael Gove has said that we will determine other countries' access to our territory on our terms. So this is great news. And as you remember, Michel Barnier, who until now, especially before we actually left the EU, he was saying, firstly, we're not going to just randomly give a free trade deal to the UK, and you have to basically say yes to everything. We'd rather if you just get tied to our withdrawal agreement forever. He's now come out and said, yeah, let's have a close partnership, guys. Let's be friends. He's basically begging.
In a calm, methodological way, we will be stressing a fair and balanced partnership with a robust framework of governance, as outlined, indeed described, in the political declaration, but now needs to be reflected in our future partnership by solid guarantees to ensure fair competition and high standards.
Again, you remember that until months ago when you had Donald Tusk, you had Juncker, you had everybody else from the EU on a regular basis insulting our prime ministers, insulting our people, our voters, and it's been quite ridiculous. Now, Michel Barnier has come out and said, guys, can we all be nice to each other? Why can't we all just be friends and be respectful?
We don't have the same opinions, we don't have the same sensitivities, we don't have the same ideas on all subjects. We have to listen to each other, we have to respect each other. And I, for one, will continue to have the same attitude of respect and never being aggressive. I have no reason to be aggressive. And I will not participate in any polemicking. I don't have time to waste on that.
Well, the tables have truly turned. the people who never played nice want to play nice now. So, all right, Michel. This is the situation where Boris Johnson is now actually losing his patience because the Prime Minister's spokesperson has said Boris has confirmed that we will be taking back full control of our laws and our money on the 1st of January next year. And the UK didn't vote twice to take back control of its fishing waters, only to give that control up again. And, well, they're absolutely right. And there are other demands that the EU have when it comes to taxation regulations. I mean, the defence union stuff that's still going on and everything else. And Boris Johnson has said, well, no, this is not taking back control. We have to fully take back control. And it was always supposed to be easy, but even when we had David Davis, Dominic Raab as former Brexit secretaries, these people and all the other ministers as well, they dealt with the civil service establishment. The civil service establishment were basically on the side of the European Union. And that's why the EU had it so easy until now. We have an old clip of all the obviously former Brexit ministers and secretaries of state, including David Davis, over the last couple of years, trying to raise awareness and tell the public that these people don't want to leave. These people are making things difficult. So let's watch this clip and then we'll review it.
The first thing to say is it's hardly a secret to say that the majority of Whitehall was not exactly enthusiastically pro-leave. In fact, you can probably count on the fingers of no hands the number of permanent secretaries that voted to leave.
The constant refrain throughout my time in government was this atmosphere of reluctance to leave.
They thought the best interest of the country was to stay in. So you got that for a start off.
They cannot face up to enthusiastically delivering the mandate that they have, and that has meant our entire negotiation has been fearful, conducted in a posture of supplication. The entire approach is suffused by a reluctance to deliver what the public wanted, which is us controlling our wars in our parliament, with all that means.
And the result is we have ended up with what I would describe as a Remainers Brexit. And that's the problem, that focusing on what they think matters about Brexit rather than what motivated 17.5 million people.
The straw that broke the camel's back for me was the final iteration of the Northern Irish backstop. And I considered it a betrayal. The clear and unequivocal promises by the government in manifestos and on the floor of the House and in speeches and in policy documents was that we would be able to leave the EU's customs union, leave the EU single market and bring an end to free movement of people.
The licence that Number 10 gave to the civil servant team and the extent to which that was exercised without the meaningful ministerial accountability that I think that a Secretary of State assigned to DEXU should have been exercising with the problem.
And they were absolutely right, because you had a situation where during the actual referendum campaign we had senior Brexiteers coming out to say it should be easy to negotiate and sign a trade deal with the EU. It should be. No one said it's definitely going to be leave it to me guys, I'm going to sort it out. It should be easy because everything is already in place. If both sides want to have good faith and actually just have a simple free trade deal based on goods and services rather than political alignment, it should be easy to do that. And but when you have people like the former leader of the Labour Party in the European Parliament, not a real parliament, the European Parliament, going on Julia Hartley-Brewer's show yesterday, I believe, and ranting about this nonsense again. And Julia actually stood up to him, which is really good. Actually, watch this. But
a deal with the EU should be, as Liam Fox famously said, the former International Trade Secretary leading Brexiteer, should be the easiest deal in history because we start from regulatory alignment. We're close by. We've already got all these trade links, and it's in everyone's interest to carry on those trade links. Given what we've had announced from the starting position from the EU and the rejection of it from Number 10, how hopeful are you that we will see that trade deal?
Yeah, easiest deal in history was one of the many things that we were promised.
No, he said
he
said he said should be, Richard.
Yeah.
Should be, and
Yes,
that's
indeed.
perfectly true.
And
it should be.
It's not, well, think about it. We're starting from a point where we have common rules that we've agreed over the years with our neighbouring countries in our common market, and we now want to negotiate divergence. Most trade deals are about convergence, to make trade easier. This is the first trade negotiation about making trade more difficult, more problematic. So it was bound to be difficult.
Why is it trying to make trade more difficult?
yeah, as we said, it should be easy. Not that it's definitely going to be easy. If the European Union were also believers in free trade, truly, then they would have done it. And but the rest of this interview was fascinating because Julia actually did point out that if now that we're an independent country, if we go to Japan, for example, and say, well, we're only going to give you a deal if you basically just follow our rules and regulations, then obviously Japan's not going to give us a deal.
I mean, again, the key thing is when we've done trade deals as part of the EU with other nation states, there is never a requirement. We don't do a trade deal with, with Japan or with Canada by saying you have to align yourself with every single rule that we have in the EU. We don't say you can have your fishing boats, using our waters, and you get to set all the issues. And if there's any ever a dispute, you get to have a say. That's just not how international trade deals work. The key point is that we are a third party now, and we're negotiating as an equal with the EU.
Yes, and that's where we are now. The European Union are finally begging, whilst trying not to come across as begging, because they, on the one hand, they say, "Oh, we actually do need you guys. Let's sign something. Let's actually negotiate and sign something." And on the other hand, they're like, "Well, we are still strong and stable. You have to basically be a non-member and a fake member of the European Union. Follow our rules. You can't have both. You have to pick a side." And this is the problem with the EU negotiators. Until now, between 2016 and 2019, they were quite strong. They knew what they wanted. Their position was clear. Right now, every 2 seconds it changes because they don't know what they want. And the European countries, including the Netherlands, France, and Italy, they're kicking off for different reasons. Everyone wants to protect their own interests. So this is the whole situation. And I'm glad that Boris Johnson has now clarified that we will end these negotiations by June. If there's no progress, and if you just don't stop playing childish games to the EU. So this is where we are now. And on a separate note, obviously we have our new free speech project. As you know, Ofcom and the establishment are now coming after social media, YouTube, bloggers, and everybody else, websites, to censor free speech and free press. So we are starting a new project. I've been speaking to a number of big names out there. We're gonna on this channel, we are now going to be doing regular interviews with politicians and media and journalists and activists and people in general. At the same time, we are also going to be launching a new membership group for you guys to start a community, and we're going to start a nationwide tour around the country. And the good news is the first event is going to be in the north. In Manchester. Well, a lot of the people who are from Yorkshire say Manchester's not really the north, but still the north, to me at least. So we're going to start in Manchester. We're going to give you the details very soon. And we have also, as you guys asked, launched a new set of t-shirts. We have our new Free Speech is Free Speech t-shirts. So make sure, if you want to support this cause and support this movement against the establishment and the Ofcom in general, make sure you actually get your t-shirts. I'll put the link in the description. There are also other various designs, Brexit t-shirts and everything else, but obviously this new free speech t-shirt is going to be hopefully starting a new movement for us. So make sure you check out the link in the description. If you haven't joined us yet, by the way, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click on that bell next to it so you get notified. We have a daily video at 5:45 p.m. usually. And if you want to follow me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, you can find the details right here on the screen. And you could follow my daily rants about Brexit and current affairs. As always, I'm Tousi. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.